I'm curious, is a gift still from me if it comes from a system with an algorithm in the back end? If the marketing system is suggesting gifts that I am giving, is it still from me? Hello, and welcome to Model Philosophy. We are working through a series for the festive season of 2025. This is essay number 3, The Gift of the Synthetic Mind. Part 1, A Season of Remembered Wants. Before a gift is wrapped, given, or opened, a person thinks of someone else. That thought is the oldest and most important part of this ritual that we repeat each year. No grand gestures or perfect choices. The smaller consideration of what would make the receiver smile, pause, or feel remembered is where gift-giving starts. Every list, errand, every small worry that we might forget someone grows from that moment of attention. The gift begins long before the exchange happens. A growing portion of that inward labour now happens outside of us, in systems that watch, remember, and anticipate on our behalf. These machines keep lists, shape suggestions, prepare parcels, and whisper reminders that we used to discover on our own. This is what we call the predictive Christmas. It's not a complaint about how technology or nostalgia for the old ways, but an understanding that the ritual is being shaped by systems outside of us. They're changing the season in ways that we barely notice, but they could be removing the most important part of our gift-giving ritual. As the digital world increases its reach into every part of our lives, we take a look at the predictive outward systems that increasingly shape us, and the inward turn that once defined gift-giving. We ask what becomes of bonds Mauss described when no longer carry each other in mind, and what becomes of the writer's impossible idea when every gesture leaves a trace. Part 2, From Transaction to a Trace of Life. A gift. A simple exchange between two people, the giver and the receiver. Long before the festive season became a choreography of deliveries and deadlines, it was rooted in a simple idea that relationships could be shaped by gifts. Marcel Mauss was a sociologist, and his book The Gift is a shaping of how the exchange between people builds relationships. He doesn't treat a present as a simple transfer of property. It's alive, moving between people, binding the giver and the receiver towards mutual recognition. When you place his work alongside the festive season, it highlights perfectly the relationship between ourselves and the gifts that we give. A gift is enacting our relationship to one another, not simply holding commitments, but the ritual that we keep to hold our obligations that we've been building. Even a modest gift has the ability to highlight the importance and value that people have between themselves, a sign that life is never really lived alone. While it is sometimes an obligation, the wrapping, choosing, and offering a gift exists to pull people together, to show that even in a fragmented world, that we value that other person. And gift exchange is not purely economic. A gift given in return is not about paying back in the transactional sense. It's about continuity, about giving the relationship another cycle, keeping the threads of that relationship together. And that's why the festive season can feel quite heavy. Amidst the cheer and the thankfulness, there's a ceremony in our exchange that maintains the social world around us, giving gifts to acknowledge each other again and again in a world that carries meaning, but is light enough to pass from one hand to another. This power that is in the gift is not in the object itself, which can be clumsy, funny, or unexpected, but in the gesture that's hidden in the exchange. The gift creates a connection. As Mauss says, the objects are never completely separated from the people who exchange them. Once offered and accepted, it becomes part of the obligation, reciprocation, and memory. This is because a gift is not just an object, it carries the giver's presence with it. The reception is the start of a relationship that cannot stay closed. In this way, ritualized exchanges of the season are not about getting it right, they're about keeping the cycle moving. Mauss reminds us that giving is meant to cost something, not financially. The cost comes in our relationships. The gift requires attention, time, and a small piece of willingness to let someone else matter. But these debts nourish us rather than deplete us. The old gift economy was human, but not perfect. It made our ties visible and to remember each other in ways that could be felt. Part 3. When the feed writes our wish list. We used to write lists, notes on paper to remind us of the perfect gift for someone. Short scribbled reminders that we had remembered would suit someone to a T. We'd walk the shops for hours, suffering through food courts, suppers, until we had located that certain specific item that matched our relative's personality. Christmas shopping was a chore, but one we took on because we wanted the recipient to enjoy our selection. Now, from the end of Halloween, the emails start, luring us to the present buying time of year. Messages and notifications start to trickle before the flood at the end of November. Suggested gifts for your sister. A card you sent last year. Are you ready to resend? The system now keeps notice, writing those same scribbled notes ready for the next festive period. Some of the systems that operate below the surface we don't even see. Amazon's forecasting systems, which are trained on decades of shopping patterns, move products to regional hubs before the customer has pressed the order button. It's called anticipatory shipping, an internal tool that brings items closer to the customer's door before the order exists. And there's something unsettling about that. Is it the marketing or the expected customer movements that make gift buying inevitable? Has the order or even the idea of gift exchange changed inside our technology systems? Spotify builds December playlists that know which songs you skip and which you keep. Grocery apps rebuild last year's Christmas shop from what you did last year, waiting for a quick approval before placing the order. Charitable giving is a small fee clipped to the end of your last purchase. Frictionless shopping is now at our hands. The seasons change, and we exist inside larger systems that help us look generous without the heavy lifting of being generous. These predictive engines do not know people the way we do, but they do know enough to be able to imitate the gestures that we've been growing between each other. Suggested gifts arrive, and there's no risk to us, no small hesitation that gives humanity in exchange. The phrase spoken often in the festival times is the thought that counts. Doesn't work when the systems are making the choice for us. Studies on gift giving show something counterintuitive. The thoughtful gift rarely matters to the receiver. The gift they appreciate most is usually the one that fits into their life, however it was chosen. The thoughtfulness mainly affects the giver. It creates a feeling of closeness that the receiver may never notice. This is what the predictive Christmas looks like: warm, efficient, strangely intimate in its accuracy, and yet we lose something important. The predictive systems get the match right. They find the useful object, the correct color, the thing forgotten from last year, but they cannot generate the closeness that once came from trying to understand the other person, from getting it slightly wrong, and so the gift becomes more accurate and somehow less of our selection. Part 4. The strings that come with every present. In Given Time, Jacques Derrida dismantled the idea that generosity could be simple. Inside this dense work, he writes that a gift cannot declare itself a gift. The moment it becomes visible as such, it collapses into transaction. Derrida attempted to uncover that which we hide from ourselves. In other words, he looked into hidden violence, hierarchies, and exclusions. In Given Time, he followed that thread into gifting, an attempt to expose the unconscious economics inside generosity, trying to find the tension inside the desire to give freely and the impossibility of ever doing so. His question was simple: what would a gift have to be if it were truly selfless? A pure gift, in Derrida's terms, is a gesture that erases its own traces completely. No reward, no gratitude, no memory, not even the quiet satisfaction of having done something good. The instant it is recognized as a gift, the moment a giver feels pride or the receiver feels gratitude, it's entered into an economy of gift-giving, and therefore cannot be that dream gift that we give with no strings attached. What this reveals to us is the underlying motivation for our gift-giving is always mixed with hope, expectation, and the desire to be seen. Once we understand this, we see a more human search for the connection below the structure in the exchange. With all the modern infrastructure running behind the scenes, the ability for a gift to exist as pure, in Derrida's term, has become almost impossible. Every gesture leads a digital footprint, a confirmation email, a delivery record, a record against an algorithmic purchase log associated with a name. All kinds of metadata preserved in systems that never get used in the future for predictive purchases and anticipatory shipping. Our gifts show their face at every step in the pipeline, and in doing so, erase the gesture that Derrida was looking to find. In his paper, Derrida was responding to a long tradition that the West had idealized generosity. Christian charity, Kantian moral duty, and romantic love had long painted the gift as a pure act of kindness and goodness, but he was attempting to dismantle the moral ideal that even our highest virtues are contaminated by structure, expectation, and selfhood. Derrida's point is existential. The pure gift is the idea we secretly long for and can never reach. He's not saying that we're hypocrites for seeking the pure gift. He just shows us that there's a deeper need for us to seek this type of generosity, even when we know we cannot live it. The technology we have around us today does not prevent generosity, and it does not cheapen affection. It can diminish the vibrancy that gift-giving once had, which made it feel meaningful, and humans need that more than we admit. We need moments where kindness remains unmeasured, where the possibility of giving that cannot be repaid. We need the kind of act that disappears into the dark, known only to us. The perfect gift, in Derrida's terms, is impossible, but the longing for it is not. The longing for a gesture that costs us something and asks for nothing in return. A gesture belongs to the private night of the soul rather than the bright machinery of December. Part 5. The quiet loss inside convenience. The season draws its meaning from being able to hold another person in mind, a curious connection that builds communities together. And the predictive Christmas shifts the ability to places we never get to see or feel. The systems around us remember, track, and suggest so that the ritual can run almost without our input. On the surface, nothing seems different, but Mouse reminds us that the gift is not the object. The gift is the moment toward the other person, the inner work that makes the exchange possible. When we pass the quiet work onto machines, the receiver may not notice the difference. It does the experience from the giver's perspective. The part of the ritual that cannot be automated, is the part that grows the bond, nourishes the community, and makes the giver feel closer. It is the thinking, the searching, the uncertain choosing that makes a gift exchange an important aspect of the ways that friendship have been cultivated for generations. The writer's idea of the pure gift helps illuminate some of what we lose. We desire a gesture untouched, unmeasured, and unrecorded. We cannot achieve it, but we want some part of our giving to occur in the dark where the act only belongs to us. But those untraceable spaces are fading in a machine that never forgets, and is getting better at predicting and facilitating our desires. Machines do not take generosity away from us. They stop requiring us to be generous in the old ways that built societies and shaped how we interact today. They remove the look inside and stop us from thinking about someone else long enough to change who we are. Because the most important part of the exchanging gifts is not thinking about ourselves. The ritual of giving gifts won't change, but the meaning will have to exist in a narrower space, because the predictive Christmas is squeezing the time we spend thinking about other people and what makes them happy and whole. That shrinking space is the most important aspect of the gift-giving ritual that we have. This has been Model Philosophy. My name is James. Thank you for being here. This essay is part of the festive season for 2025, an essay series where we're looking at technology and how all of this stuff turns into a rambling load of bullcrap of me standing in front of a camera.